eclipse is formed when the Earth is between the Sun and the Moon, is what they tell us. The Earth then casts a shadow on the Moon, thus causing the eclipse. But this explanation has already been refuted by Frederick Henry Cook. In his book, The Terrestrial Plane, he writes, according to the new theory, the false one, a lunar eclipse occurs when the Sun and Earth and Moon are in a straight line. But it's documented that since the 15th century, more than 50 eclipses have occurred while both the Sun and Moon were still visible above the horizon. In other words, the Sun and the Moon were visible at the same time in the sky while the Moon was eclipsed. And this is the kind of thing that just gave me goosebumps. While the Moon was eclipsed, for example, on July 19th of 1750, in Paris, observers saw an eclipsed moon while the Sun was clearly seen in the sky above the horizon. The same thing happened in the eclipses of April 20th in 1837, September 20th of 1700, June 16th of 1666, November 3rd of 1648, and July 17th of 1590. Also, a recent documented event occurred August 16th of 1989 in Hawaii, where the partially eclipsed moon could be seen rising while the Sun was still setting. That means the Sun, the Earth, and the Moon were not aligned while the lunar eclipse occurred. So it's impossible that the eclipse was caused by the Earth's shadow being projected onto the Moon. Another thing they say is that the solar eclipse occurs when the Moon stands between the Earth and the Sun, the Moon covering the exact circumference of the Sun. This already improbable scenario is refuted by recordings where it can be seen that it's not the Moon covering the Sun during an eclipse, but rather something else, and we're going to have a look at that. On March 20th of 2015, a total eclipse of the Sun took place, and the Travel Quest International Company organized a flight of 50 people to observe this phenomenon from the North Atlantic, and this is where the subject gets interesting. Several passengers filmed the totality of the eclipse, and the recordings show black orbs without light around the Sun, and one of these orbs was covering the Sun at the moment of the eclipse. Total solar eclipse, March 20th, 2015, and here we can see a nice view through the window, and this is what I wanted to see. Something real, and something nice and up there, not from our perspective. And here we go. Boom. Now they come into view. The orbs that I've spoken about seeing, orbs that can actually move independently, but otherwise move as fixed stars. And I told you of the one that flew over my head and then just parked in its position and just appeared to be a star. And of course we have things we are told that orbit in opposition. And here's an example. Here's 4 of them moving in opposition. And what I find fascinating is if this is true, which I believe it is, it seems a lot more plausible than anything I've ever heard on the subject. That means that the stars, or at least some of them, may actually move in front of the Sun. And it's certainly the case here with these 4+ orbs. And here we can see it passing, and now we see the eclipse, and we still see the 3 underneath it. Absolutely amazing. And again, this was a group of photographers. It's not just one photographer. And here he helps highlight this, really showing you a lot of the points that many people might want to refute, such as the smudges on the window. And then he highlights these orbs so we can clearly see the way they move.